Charles Robert Darwin was born on February 12, 1809, in the tiny American town of Shrewsbury, England. He is well known for being a natural scientist who laid down a framework for the theory of evolution, showing how man evolved from lower life forms, suggesting that animals and humans share a common ancestor with other species of similar animals. He was born into a wealthy and influential family. His father, Dr. R. W. Darwin, was a medical doctor, and his grandfather, Dr. Erasmus Darwin, was a renowned botanist and one of the leading intellectuals of 18th century England.
Early life. Darwin's mother died when he was 8 and was cared for by his three elder sisters. Young Darwin stood in awe of his father, whose medical observations taught him much about human psychology. But he hated the learning of classics at the traditional Anglican Shrewsbury School, where he studied between 1818 and 1825. Science was at the time considered dehumanizing in English public schools, resulting in Darwin being condemned by his headmaster after dabbling in chemistry. In October 1825, at age 16, Darwin enrolled at Edinburgh University, along with his brother Erasmus. At this location, Darwin often heard freethinkers deny the divine design of human facial anatomy and argued that animals shared all the human mental faculties. Later, inspired by his mentor Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, a radical evolutionist and biologist, he would later board many ships to remote parts of the world to study this. Adult life. After Darwin graduated in 1831, he was recommended to apply for a naturalist's position aboard the HMS Beagle. On December 27, 1831, the HMS Beagle launched its voyage around the world, and over the course of the trip, Darwin collected a variety of natural specimens, including birds, plants, and fossils. Through hands-on research and experimentation, he had the unique opportunity to closely observe principles of botany, geology, and zoology. In particular, at the Galapagos Islands, 500 miles west of South America, Darwin was struck by how the finch was different in certain characteristics on each individual island. He noticed that the finch had somehow adapted to the various factors and characteristics of one particular island. Upon his return to England in 1836, Darwin began to write his findings in his Journal of Researches, and slowly he began to develop a revolutionary theory about the origins of living beings that was contrary to the popular view of other naturalists at the time.
Theory of evolution. Other naturalists at the time believed that all species either came into existence at the start of the world or were created over the course of natural history. Darwin, however, noticed similarities among species all over the globe, leading him to believe that they had gradually evolved from common ancestors. Darwin continued to refine his theory and would intensively breed plants to work in his theories. He came to believe that species survive through a process called natural selection, where species had successfully adapted to meet the changing requirements of their natural habitat drive, while those that failed to adapt didn't reproduce and die off. By realizing how controversial his ideas were, Darwin delayed publishing them. Finally, on November 24, 1859, he published a detailed explanation of his theory in his best-known work on the origin of the species by means of natural selection. Death and legacy. Following a lifetime of depth research, Charles Darwin passed away at his family home in London on April 19, 1882. Although not immediate, by the time he died his ideas had increasingly become accepted, at least by the scientific and non-religious society.
He was given a state burial at Westminster Abbey. Today he is regarded as the discoverer of the modern theory of evolution. But as any discoverer, pioneer, or innovator, he wasn't alone in this quest for knowledge that took thousands of years. as he stood on the shoulders of giants, in the search for the first and probably last question: why?